Viewers, following this development, we're also getting in reactions globally, with even US President Joe Biden chiming in. We learned that Joe Biden has said that the United States will work with its partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity to manage the risk. For years, the main backers of Assad, the president of Syria, Bashar Al-Assad, he's referring to, have been Iran, Hezbollah and Russia. But over the last week, their support collapsed as all three of them are far weaker today. Over the past 4 years, my administration pursued a clear and principled policy towards Syria through the combination of support for our partners and sanctions. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
The United States will work with our partners and the stakeholders in Syria to help them seize an opportunity to manage the risks. For years, the main backers of Assad have been Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia. But over the last week, their support collapsed, all three of them, because all three of them are far weaker today than they were when I took office. Over the past 4 years, my administration pursued a clear and principled policy towards Syria. First, we made clear from the start sanction on Assad would remain in place unless he engaged seriously in a political process to end the civil war, as outlined by the UN Security Council resolution passed in 2015. But Assad refused, so we carried out a comprehensive sanction program against him and all those responsible for atrocities against the Syrian people. Second, we maintained our military presence in Syria, our counter-ISIS, to counter the support of local partners as well on the ground, their partners, never ceding an inch of territory, taking out leaders of ISIS, ensuring that ISIS can never establish a safe haven there again. Third, we've supported Israel's freedom of action against Iranian networks in Syria and against actors aligned with Iran who transported lethal aid to Lebanon. And when necessary, ordered the use of military force against Iranian networks to protect U.S. forces.
Viewers, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is expected to raise with Dhaka India's concerns over attacks on Hindus and other minorities as he embarks on a day-long visit to Bangladesh today. In the first high-level trip from New Delhi after a massive uprising ended deposed Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's 15-year rule in August, Misri is scheduled to hold wide-ranging talks with his Bangladeshi counterpart Mohammad Jassim Uddin and meet the country's de facto foreign minister Mohammad Tawheed Hossain. Viewers, the big breaking news this morning is that India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is scheduled to visit Dhaka on a one-day visit to ensure that the highlights of India's concerns with regards to the Hindu minorities' atrocities is addressed in Bangladesh as the atrocities continue to take place. Viewers, at this point, I'd like to welcome Mr. Deepak Vora, former ambassador and diplomat, for joining us today on Republic TV. Good morning, sir.
Morning, ma'am.
So you have to explain to us now that Vikram Misri is headed to Dhaka. This is the first high-level meeting, so to speak, that is likely to happen. And these are concerns that have been discussed for the last couple of weeks now in India with the atrocities that are being committed. What can we expect on that front?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Always a pleasure to be on Asia's Prime Network. And early in the morning, it's wonderful to listen to you, to learn from you. Let me put it across very simply. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is an expert in security matters. This is the first official bilateral visit between the two nations since the interim regime took charge in Bangladesh. Now, he can be expected to give a very tough message in private and a more conciliatory one, as is normal with us in diplomacy, in public. 4,000 long kilometer border relations are very, very important, and some of our best diplomatic and defense assets are deployed there. Question, put it very simply, what do we want? We want protection of minorities, especially Hindus and their places of worship that have been attacked several times by Islamist jihadi groups. We also want the welfare, security, and treatment of Hindus in Bangladesh to be a priority. It's a very sensitive issue for India. The second thing we want, no support to anti-India terror groups or use of Bangladeshi territory to threaten India's security. What does Bangladesh, the present interim regime, want? No one knows. They speak with different voices. So this is the dilemma at the moment. What is their policy towards India? I do not know. No one seems to know. And we hope that after the Foreign Secretary's visit, we will have a clearer idea. What can we do? A lot. There is bilateral economic pressure. There's international pressure that we can encourage. We have enough friends who will side with us. Then finally, the Brahmastra, the responsibility to protect. If Bangladesh is unable to protect its minorities, then under the UN doctrine, 2005, responsibility to protect, outside forces, outside powers, other countries might have to intervene to protect the populations. This is where we stand at the moment.
Mr. Vora, even Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India following, the political turmoil that sort of led to her rule sort of come to an end, she's also been fairly vocal about, the atrocities that are being committed against the minorities. But under the interim government that's been led by Muhammad Yunus, the case seems to be otherwise. How is that likely to pan out, really?
The case seems to be otherwise means that she is speaking out against the atrocity. She was quiet. And now she has really become very vocal. She's mobilizing her supporters in Bangladesh. And there are many. There are also some people who are talking about reconverting Bangladesh into East Pakistan, some stupid fellows on the streets, because Bangladesh is now ruled by the social media and these mobs on the streets, not by the interim government. The fellow just sits in his residence and drools and probably like Bahadur Shah Zafar composes poems. What these jihadi elements, these fellows on the streets, a very small number, is talking about reconverting Bangladesh to East Pakistan. My dear friends, go talk to your parents about what happened prior to 1971. Go talk to what the Baloch are suffering today from the Punjabi-dominated Pakistan. I mean, the Baloch are actually fighting for their survival and their liberation. So don't talk this kind of nonsense that you wish to convert it into an Islamic nation and you want to go back and join Pakistan. That's all rubbish. Ma'am, the reality really is that Bangladesh, the people of Bangladesh want good relations with India, but there is this hardcore element, the Jamaat-e-Islami, etc., who are now part, unfortunately, of the regime, who will try to obstruct the natural course for Bangladesh. You cannot, they cannot. If I were a Bangladeshi, I would understand I cannot afford to antagonize a rich and powerful neighbor like India. It'll hurt me. It won't hurt India.
Rightfully said so, sir. Thank you so much for those inputs coming in as we witness the political and economic turmoil in neighboring Bangladesh. The atrocities continue to take place against the minorities. We'll get you all the details later as well.